Hey everybody from Tempe, Arizona. Zach Shaffer here, and I want to talk about cooperation in ant queens. So, as many of you might realize, most ant colonies, when they're started, the ants, here in Arizona, it's actually right around the monsoon, and we see a lot of these ant queens flying. They fly up, they mate somehow in the air, they land, they dig in, they start the colony. And it's very challenging. Most of them don't make it. Perhaps because of these challenges, in some cases, there's a form of cooperation between ant queens called pleiometrosis, where basically these queens band together to try to start colonies. And so our study that I'm talking about today is about pleiometrosis in the California seed harvester ant, P.californicus. And this was work that I did under the supervision of Professor Jennifer Fuel, who she and her students and others at Arizona State have developed the P.californicus into sort of a model system for studying division of labor in these societies, the queens. But the idea of pleiometrosis is particularly interesting because it's cooperation between unrelated individuals, and so that's what makes it also kind of very interesting. So about 10 years ago, we did this study, and we're finally setting out to publish it. And we set out to collect queens in San Diego County, California, and to get these queens. We collected thousands. We ended up using 570 queens in the study, and what we did was we put different numbers of ant queens into ant farms, and we would have between 1 and 9 queens. So we'd have like 30 replicates of each, of a single queen by herself, 30 of 3 queens together, 30 replicates of 6 queens together, or 30 replicates of 9 queens together. And then what we did is we basically just observed them, just fed them grass seeds and observed them in these ant farms for 50 days. And the first thing that we noticed was that it was hard to go it alone. And so survival, we really saw strong effects of survival where individual queens really fell off. This is a mortality and survival analysis. Individual queens really died pretty quickly. They didn't make it. But we saw that groups, there was kind of a cooperative advantage in colony founding in these ant farms that's similar to what's been reported in other studies. And here you can see a picture of what the queens would look like. They actually would be banding together in the colonies, and I'll edit the footage in so you can see the other things. So the single queens didn't survive as well as groups, but there was no difference between group survival. So whether you were in a group of 3, 6, or 9, it was similar survival. And we followed the production. So not only did we look at survival, we followed the production of these little nascent colonies for the 50 days. And we saw that there was kind of like regardless of the number, there was a similar developmental trajectory for the production of broods. So initially, they would lay eggs, and initially, pretty much every queen laid the same amount of eggs, so the groups of 9 had a big advantage in terms of egg laying. And but then what we saw was that in the transition from egg to larvae, that advantage of the groups of 9 disappeared, and where you ended up with just the same number of larvae for a group of 9 as you would almost about the same number as you would have for a group of 3 or 6. And then this sort of, as we go further in development from pupae into workers, we see that actually the advantages of the groups of 9 really fall down, and it's these groups of 3 and 6 that do the best. And so it's this interesting effect where it's not good to have, and also the single, I should mention the single queens, none of them managed to get any of their brood to the stage of pupae. So it was bad to be going alone, or strangely it was bad to be in too big of a group. So the best thing was to kind of be in the middle, between 3 and 6 queens. And then what we did is we kept track of the behavior in the ant farms through close observation for the whole time, and we saw this very strong patterns of activity where the solitary queens were the most active, kind of hyperactive, and that the groups of 9 were actually very inactive. And so the group of 1 is down here at the bottom, and the group of 9 was incredibly inactive, and then groups of 3 and 6 were kind of in the middle there. And we saw lots of interesting, this figure is really what was very intriguing, it really suggested additional analysis, and essentially what we were able to do is try to find a mechanism to explain why is it there's this developmental advantage for mid-sized colonies to produce workers. So what's happening? And so when we actually go further into the weeds and did further analysis, we saw that if we look at the colony growth, like the essential colony growth tasks, what are the colony growth tasks? These are essential work, for the like brood care, foraging, excavating. These are the essential tasks that you need to do to survive. And what we really see is that the middle-sized groups are doing the most of these, the absolute number of these, this kind of activity. And so I hope that you guys, we hope to publish this very soon. We're submitting this very shortly for publication. I hope that you guys will check it out. And so with that, I want to thank you and wish you all well from sunny Arizona.